urban education reform truly takes quality teachers. It takes quality leaders. It takes schools that are involved in the climate and the culture and all that it takes for kids and families to do well. But urban education reform takes far more, in my opinion, in my experience, and even research would show, than just the school itself. It takes a community, it takes a village, it takes a wrapping around of resources, services, people, love, churches, nonprofits, others, for reform to occur. Let me tell you about Antoine. Antoine, real young man, lives in Memphis, lives in Fraser, 5th grade this school year. Antoine is not unlike a number of other kids in this community. He was behind in school in part because he missed 20 days of school in the first 3 months. Automatically behind. No surprise, he had at best a D level in literacy and reading and in math. He also had just a number of other issues with his family, with his mom, just a number of compounding issues that made life hard. Living in poverty, living in an apartment complex, living where the family's not supported the way they needed and wanted. I want to come back to Antoine. Agape Child and Family Services, that's where I work. I'm the executive director, been here since 95, almost 20 years. Agape's 45 years old, serving children and families as a Christian-based organization. Back in 2009, we began a platform called Power Lines Community Network, where we serve in the place that people live. We go to where they live. And so since 2009, we have been in and are in 9 different apartments. That's our strategy, going to high-risk communities, high-need communities, under-resourced communities, serving there alongside over half my staff office in those communities. And we listen to the voice of those in those communities. We listen to the parents, we listen to the children. The data drives us there, and then we listen to those who are most impacted. It's their very own life. So 3 years ago, when we didn't know Antoine, Antoine's story was being impacted and affected. 3 years ago, we were having these conversations in the apartments in Fraser, a significant community in our city in Memphis. And in these conversations, we call them community cafes. We ask parents, we ask family members, we ask community members, what is it you need and you want to be successful, to do well in education, to do well generally in life? Well, 3 years ago, families that we had talked to said there are 3 things that we need. And this is mirrored in a lot of the other communities that we serve in, Whitehaven, Hickory Hill, as well as in Fraser. They said, we really need help with education. We need help with our kids in terms of what they're getting in the educational process, after school support. Just education is a significant area. Another area was safety. We need our kids, our families to be safe. There's gang and gang-like activity going on, domestic violence. There's a range of just personal family matters going on. And then third, we need help with jobs. We need to have jobs. We need to have employment. If we live in an impoverished community, how do you expect us to get out if we don't have jobs, and jobs that pay more than just the minimum wage? Well, we listened to that very seriously. So as we got that data, and as education was mentioned as number 1, and these 3 areas were mirrored in the 2020 Fraser Plan as well as in lots of the other communities, I went to and we began looking at what are the schools and who are the schools in Fraser. There are about 15 public schools there in the Fraser community. The Achievement School District has come in and are working alongside many of those. They're working with the bottom 5% performing schools. Matter of fact, the more we got into this, what we learned was every one of those 15 public schools in Fraser were on a particular list. Well, 3 years ago in the state of Tennessee, the state looked at this bottom 5% performing schools. There are 85 in the state of Tennessee. Of those 85, 68 of those are in Memphis, Shelby County. 68 of the 85. Of those 68, every one of the Fraser schools were either on that list or right on the bubble of being on that list. So arguably, Fraser, if you lived in Fraser 3 years ago, your kids were receiving the worst education in Memphis, Tennessee, possibly the worst education in the state of Tennessee, and arguably the worst in the United States. So when the parents told us our kids need help with education, they knew what they were talking about. We need to listen to our parents, those in the communities. They know. So I went to ASD and I said, what can we do to help? Chris Barbick, the superintendent, said, David, what we're doing with schools, trying to help turn around schools, working with the bottom 5% performing schools, our job is to have excellent teachers, excellent instruction, excellent leaders in the schools, but the needs within the school, coming in the school, the needs of the youth, the needs of the family, the community matters going on are far more than what a teacher can do in their classroom. It takes a village. And so I said, what if we embedded staff? We call them connectors. What if we put connectors into the school and we said, these connectors who are connecting relationally, so connecting one-on-one, but also connecting resources and services, wrapping those around kids and families based on their needs. What if we embedded these connectors in the school, and then they also would go and they would work with the families in the community, in the apartments and surrounding communities through our place-based strategy, Powerlines Community Network. Chris said, great. I said, we've got to go raise money together. We were able to do that. Well, ASD said in Fraser, where we need you to go is one of our greatest needs schools. It's called the 9th Grade Academy. This was a year ago. This was 2013-2014 school year. So we said, okay, tell me more about this class. Well, this 8th grade class coming into the 9th grade was the worst performing 8th grade class of all classes within Shelby County. And so we embedded connectors in that school. They were engaged with kids who had absenteeism issues, truancy, not in school, kind of like our young man Antoine, who had grade issues, who were not doing well in school, who had maybe behavioral issues, maybe had some other family matters. So the school identified the kids and said, this is who your connectors need to work with. And so began working with them. So they're in the school developing relationships, connecting. We're bringing volunteers in to be able to support, providing reading, literacy, tutoring, training. And then the connectors are going back in the community, working with the family in their home, in the apartment surrounding area there in Fraser. Well, at the end of that school year, so this is May of 2014, the data comes in. We have this school-wide event to be able to celebrate. Didn't know what the data was at that point. Principal gets up, and what we learn is that that school, 9th Grade Academy, was the best performing ASD school in their whole portfolio, in terms of how those kids were doing in reading and literacy, how they were doing in math. What we came to know was it takes quality teachers, quality school doing what they're doing, and it takes non-educational services, non-educational resources being wrapped around families, making sure kids are in school, they're not absent, and when they're in the seat, they have services wrapped around them to address the matters of life that are going on, whether it was domestic violence in the home, whether it was mental health issues going on in the home, whether it's I'm hungry and I come to school not being fed, whether it's my clothes are dirty and I'm ashamed to be able to come in because our washer just broke, whatever the matters might be, wrapping them around in partnership with the parent and the family. Well, ASD said, can you then go into the 4 elementary schools that we have in Fraser? We got to raise more money. We did that together, and so we have embedded additional connectors in these 4 elementary schools that make up almost 1,500 students. School focused in and said, this is who you serve, here's who you need to be working with. So we've been doing that this school year. What we have found, even though we don't have the last data in yet, what we have found is very encouraging information and data. Over 40% of the kids have improved. The ones that we're focusing on, over 40% of them have improved in their academics around literacy and reading. Over 50% have improved or met goal for math and math-related matters. 70+% have improved their reading and have shown improvement overall. 80% showing some level of improvement toward math. Absenteeism rates have improved. Kids being in the school. Conduct matters going on, kids being suspended has drastically dropped. Parents being engaged in with the school system has greatly improved. So that's our experience. But more importantly, what about Antoine? Well, Antoine, again, is a 5th grader in one of these elementary schools in Fraser. This school year, we get to know him. Again, missed 20 days of school in the first 3 months of school. He then gets connected to a connector, begin walking life out. Antoine, what is it you need to be able to be successful? In the home, working with a parent. Mom, what is it you need for you and your boys and Antoine to be successful? But here's the response of wrapping a village around. as we do it with the school. School providing quality teachers, providing quality education, connectors in the school engaging. Brown Baptist comes in and says, you know what, we're adopting this school, and we're going to have a volunteer who's trained to provide literacy, and we're going to have one-on-one tutoring going on with Antoine. Antoine's reading has gotten better. We're going to have the school giving focus as they're doing. So now Antoine has gone from a D student to a B student in just some number of months. We're working with Mom, and we're saying, Mom, what is it you need? Well, I didn't graduate from high school, and that's really important to me. You know what? One of our partners that we work with, because we bring a lot of partners to the table, is HopeWorks. Can we introduce you to HopeWorks to work on your GED or HiSET? That'd be great. All right? We're making that connection. What else do you need, Mom? I need a job. And I need a job that pays more than just minimum wage. You know what? We've got a relationship with Nike, and they're coming into the apartment complex here in just a couple of weeks. We're trying to onboard folks to be able to get in their pipeline to possibly be employed. Would you like to do that? And could we put you at the front of the line? Yeah, that'd be great. That's right in my community. That would work. If we do that, she's now in the pipeline to be able to be employed by Nike. Mom, what else is you need? I've got some real struggles with, that's not Antoine, but another one of my sons. And I think maybe they need some counseling. They need something. Well, we got a great relationship with Youth Villages. They have a program called the Anaya program. They come into your home. You have to approve it. You have to be on board with it. So it's your call. But they come into your home, and they'll provide counseling in your home. Okay, if you trust them, I'll do that. We do trust them. We've worked with them with a lot of kids, and we're doing great. How about that? It takes a village to come around these kids and these families. Urban education reform has to happen in the schools, and it has to happen with community partners, the parents, the kids, the village, to make the difference and the change.